Okay, welcome everyone to the Deep Dives. Today we are going to plunge into a business belief that, well, it sounds completely logical, doesn't it?
Mm,
But it can actually be a major trap. It's this idea that getting more leads automatically means making more money.
right. It's that classic fill the funnel thinking. You just cram more people in the top, and mathematically, more customers should pop out the bottom. Simple.
Yeah, except real business. It's rarely that simple.
Not at all.
And that's really why this deep dive is, I think, so important. We're going to unpack what a lead actually is.
Yeah, define it properly.
Exactly.
Yep.
And shine a light on why just chasing quantity
Yeah.
is often a huge waste of time and, frankly, money. And the main goal, figure out how to attract the right kind of lead.
The engaged ones.
The ones who are genuinely interested, who are sort of leaning in, ready for your offer. We've pulled insights today from source material focused on really practical, effective strategies for actually bringing in clients.
And you know what's really interesting, as our sources point out, is just how many business owners say, I need more leads. But if you actually press them, like, okay, what is a lead to you? Define it. They often kind of stumble. They haven't really thought it through.
Oh, I've totally been there. I remember someone asking me that years ago. So what's your definition of a lead? And I just sort of froze. I had this vague idea like, oh, people who might buy something eventually.
Yeah.
But I hadn't actually defined that fundamental thing I was supposedly chasing.
It's such a common blind spot. Okay, let's get grounded. The basic definition from the material we looked at, a lead is simply anyone you have a way to contact.
Right.
Got an email address, that's a lead. Phone number, lead. Someone walks into your shop, lead. A connection request on LinkedIn, technically, a lead.
Right. But here's the absolute core distinction, isn't it? Because having someone's contact info is so different from having someone who's actually interested in what you do.
Worlds apart.
It's kind of like, I don't know, getting a whole stack of phone numbers at some networking event versus actually getting a text back from someone saying, yeah, let's grab coffee.
That dating analogy is spot on. Just because you have their number doesn't mean they want a second date or heck, even a first date with you.
Exactly.
What really matters is the response, the engagement level. Do they reply? Do they ask you questions? Are they, like you said, leaning in?
Yes. So you've got leads, just the raw contacts,
Mm-hmm.
and then you have engaged leads. And honestly, those engaged leads, that's the goal.
That's where the value is.
These are the people actively, showing interest. They're clicking your links. They're leaving comments. Maybe they book that discovery call or reply to your email. They're basically waving their hand saying, hey,
Mhm.
over here, I'm listening.
And this is the trap of just chasing more leads. If you aren't focused on getting that engagement, you're often just, well, adding more contacts who will never, ever respond.
It's like stuffing your home mailbox full of junk mail.
Yeah.
Technically, you have more mail, but it's just noise.
Exactly. More noise you have to sift through to find the one letter that actually matters. It's wasted effort.
Okay, so let's talk about getting it wrong, because this is where that more leads myth
Yeah.
really trips people up. The source material has this great, really relatable story. They call it the webinar disaster.
Oh, yeah, the classic. Over-engineering something, focusing way too much on how fancy it looks, instead of asking, is this actually effective?
Totally. The thinking was basically, well, everyone's doing webinars, so that must be the magic bullet. So they built out this, incredibly elaborate system, super polished landing page, a whole complex sequence of follow-up emails, paid ads, driving traffic, the works. Spent hundreds of dollars, hours and hours building the slides, setting up the tech.
Okay, sounds familiar. And the payoff, the return on all that investment.
Zero sales.
Ouch.
After all that effort, all that money, nothing. It was just such a perfect example of how building something complicated and expensive, it doesn't guarantee anything. It just generated a list of contacts, basically, people who signed up for a free webinar but weren't actually engaged enough to pull out their wallets.
It really shows that people aren't necessarily impressed by how much work you think you put in, If the core offer isn't what they actually want or need at that moment, the fancy wrapping doesn't matter.
Which perfectly leads us to what did work for them. And it was something almost laughably simple in comparison, a case study video.
Okay, so tell us about that. What made this real approach, as you called it, so much better?
Well, it wasn't some slick, pre-recorded presentation with graphics flying around. It was literally just someone sharing their screen
Okay.
and walking through an actual client campaign. Like, okay, here's what we did for this specific client. Here are the exact steps we took. And look, here are the numbers, the actual results.
Ah, so showing the proof, not just making claims about what could happen.
Exactly, proof.
Yeah.
So they thought, okay, let's just replicate that really simple approach. They recorded a short video, I think it was maybe 13 minutes.
Pretty short.
Yeah, just walking through one of their successful campaigns, showing the behind-the-scenes stuff, the actual outcomes. And the headline was super simple, benefit-driven. Free case study, how we added 200-plus members and a $100 K to a gym in 30 days.
Okay, specific. And what happened when they put that simple video out there?
Very next morning, their business partner's calendar was just flooded, booked solid.
Wow.
People who watched that simple, straightforward video, they were immediately ready to talk business.
That is such a powerful contrast, isn't it? The complex, expensive webinar, it attracted passive signups, maybe curiosity seekers.
Right.
The simple, transparent case study, it attracted people who saw concrete proof and took immediate action. It wasn't about being slick or polished. It was about being real and just demonstrating results. That simple video in itself was the lead magnet.
Okay, so if that simple, real approach worked so well, what are the universal ingredients of a great lead magnet? Something that attracts those genuinely engaged leads we're talking about.
Well, the source material really boils it down to 4 essential criteria. First off, it absolutely has to solve a specific, narrow problem, not some huge, vague thing.
Okay, why is being specific so important there?
Because a narrow solution signals that you really get a particular pain point someone's feeling right now.
Okay.
Think about it. How to get more leads from Instagram stories feels much more relevant and immediately useful to someone struggling with that than just how to grow your business.
Right, the second one's way too broad.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The specific one tells them you know their world, you know that specific challenge, and maybe you can fix that. It builds trust right away because you're speaking their language, addressing their immediate need.
Got it. Specificity shows you understand their world.
Yeah.
Okay, what's number 2?
Second, it's got to build trust. This thing you're offering, it cannot be just a thinly veiled sales pitch.
Right.
Its main job is to give away something genuinely useful, valuable info, a helpful tool up front. It demonstrates your expertise and your generosity before you ask for anything significant, like their money.
Okay, makes sense. And third?
Third, it needs to be super easy to use. Don't make people jump through a bunch of complicated hoops just to get the value.
Yeah, friction is the enemy.
Totally. A quick download, a video they can watch easily, a tool that's intuitive. If it's hard to access or use, you kill the momentum and honestly, you devalue what you're offering.
Absolutely. If someone has to spend like 20 minutes just figuring out how to open or use your free gift, they're definitely not going to feel warm and fuzzy towards you or your paid stuff.
No way. And the 4th criterion.
What's the last piece?
It has to be genuinely good, like really good.
Yeah.
It should be so valuable, so helpful, that the person actually thinks, wow, if they gave this away for free, what must their paid services be like? It needs to be a showcase, a sample of the quality you deliver.
Okay, so you've got this brilliant lead magnet idea. It ticks all 4 boxes.
Yep.
Specific, trust building, easy to use, genuinely good. Now, how do you actually get it into people's hands effectively? The delivery.
Yeah, delivery is crucial. And the format should really match your audience and the content itself. A video case study, like we talked about, might be perfect for showing a process. A PDF guide could be great for step-by-step instructions they can refer back to. A mini tool, like a spreadsheet template or a calculator, works for solving a practical problem right then and there. Or even, a physical sample if you sell a physical product.
And you mentioned earlier that point about consumability, making it easy to actually use.
Absolutely critical. If it's a video, aim for under 15 minutes if you can. Shorter is often better.
Okay.
If it's a guide, make it easy to scan. Use headings, bullet points, maybe some visuals. If it's a tool, make it intuitive. Nobody wants to read a 50-page manual for a free calculator.
Yeah.
You want people to actually consume the value, to experience that aha moment you're trying to provide.
And this brings us to something that is so important, but honestly often feels like an afterthought for people. And it can make or break whether anyone even sees your amazing lead magnet in the first place.
Let me guess. The headline.
The headline.
Exactly.
Oh, this is where so much potential just goes down the drain.
Yeah.
You could have created the most incredible, life-changing free resource, but if the title is boring or confusing or just blends into the background,
Nobody clicks.
nobody clicks. It's invisible.
We saw this play out so dramatically in the source material. They tested different headlines for the exact same lead magnet content.
Right.
The worst performing headline, it got a really dismal 2% click rate. Just 2%.
Okay.
The best one they tested, an incredible 18%.
Wow, that's 9 times better.
9 times for the same content. Just changing that phrase on the front, and you get 9 times the number of people even bothering to look at it.
That's not a small tweak. That's the difference between your lead magnet actually working, generating those engaged leads, or just completely failing. So please, please, please don't just guess your headline.
No guessing. Test it. Use simple polls on social media. Just ask, hey, which of these sounds more interesting? Run basic A/B tests on your landing page if you can. Even just asking a few people directly in messages, hey, which title would make you click? Any data is better than a pure guess.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, so someone saw your killer headline, they clicked through, they downloaded or accessed your super easy to use, genuinely valuable lead magnet. They've consumed it. What happens like immediately after that? This is where your call to action, your CTA comes in, right?
Yes. You've just delivered value. Hopefully you've built a nice chunk of trust and goodwill. Now you need to clearly guide them to the logical next step. Don't just leave them hanging thinking, okay, that was cool, now what?
Make it crystal clear and easy.
Super easy to execute. If the natural next step is for them to book a consultation call with you, the CTA should be unmissable. Book your free consultation here with a big button or link. If it's watching a slightly longer video that goes deeper into the topic, it's watch the next training video now. If it's maybe exploring your paid program, it's learn more about the program. Just be direct.
Okay.
And here's a little psychological nudge that the source has highlighted. Adding a reason to act now can really boost conversions. Introducing a little bit of urgency or scarcity if it's authentic, obviously.
Right, don't fake it.
Don't fake it. But interestingly, even just giving any reason seems to be powerful. The source mentioned that classic Harvard study, remember?
Yeah.
Where people asking to cut in line at a photocopier saw compliance jump massively.
Yeah, from like 60% to over 90%.
Just by adding the phrase, because I need to make copies. Even a really weak, obvious reason works significantly better than no reason at all.
Huh. That's fascinating. Okay, so let's kind of bring this all back to the core principle here. Your lead magnet, whatever it is, it must be packed with genuine value.
Absolutely. Treat it like it's a sample of your absolute best work because, well,
Yeah.
it is. Give away value, like, as the source material puts it, like it's your reputation on the line. Because, frankly, it is.
It really is. It's that first proper taste they get of what you can do.
And look, it's not about giving away all your secrets, obviously.
No.
It's about demonstrating your expertise so clearly, providing that proof, showing them you know exactly how to help them solve that specific problem you targeted. If your free offer genuinely blows them away with its usefulness,
Then they'll trust that your paid services or products can deliver even bigger, better results.
exactly, trust is the key. Okay, should we do a quick rundown? Just the key takeaways from this deep dive?
Yeah, good idea. Hit the high points.
All right. First, remember, a lead is just a contact. An engaged lead, someone showing active interest. That's the valuable one.
Right. Focus there.
Second, that whole more leads myth.
Hmm.
It's dangerous. Focus on attracting the right engaged people, not just filling a list.
Quality over quantity.
Third, a great lead magnet does this by solving a specific, narrow problem and delivering real, genuine value up front.
Something actually useful.
Fourth, it's got to be easy to consume and it must build trust. Think of it as a showcase for your paid offerings.
And fifth, don't forget that headline.
Crucially, the headline matters immensely. Test it, don't guess it.
Okay. And last.
Finally, always follow up immediately with a clear call to action. Tell them exactly what you want them to do next. Guide them.
Perfect.
Yeah.
And, when you make that shift, when you stop just collecting contacts and start attracting genuinely engaged leads with a valuable magnet, you start building real connections.
Yeah.
And those connections, they lead to actual conversations. Those conversations turn into customers.
Yeah.
And those customers, well, that's where the revenue comes from.
And there's a huge side benefit too, right? Because
Yeah.
your lead magnet is doing a lot of the heavy lifting, educating them, building that initial trust.
Huh.
Your customer acquisition costs, basically what it costs you in time and money to get a paying customer, often become much lower, more
Yeah.
predictable. The magnet pre-qualifies and pre-sells them in a way.
Makes total sense. All right, that pretty much wraps up our deep dive into what makes a truly effective lead magnet and really why quality beats quantity every single time when it comes to leads.
Good stuff.
So next time on the deep dive, we're going to explore, okay, you've built this amazing lead magnet. Now, how do you actually get it in front of the right people? We'll dig into the distribution side.
Yeah, things like paid ads, organic content strategies, referrals, collaborations, all that good stuff. How to get eyeballs on it.
Definitely don't miss that one. Until then, maybe the key question for you, listener, to ponder is this. Are you currently building something that people just kind of tolerate getting from you? Or are you building something they genuinely want to engage with?
Good question to leave them with.